Hello, Rebel, and welcome to the latest episode of Foul Language. And this week we have a very special guest on. He's last season's Super Bowl winner. He's a very big on the tabletop scene as well, I believe. He is also the official gentleman of the Rebel. So much so it's rumored that he might not actually even know what fouling is about. He's finally moved over to the Big O. We've finally got him out of G-Man. It took us a little while, but we pushed him that way. Of course, you know him as Sandune, and thank you for coming along, Sandune. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Metal, thanks, and good evening to you all.
Good morning for some of us, trust me. It's not that late in the day for all of us. So, if you'd like to just start us off with a little bit about yourself, just so people know what's what.
Well, I'm down in New Zealand, so obviously everyone else is behind me. My name's Nick. I'm early 30s and live in little old New Zealand. I'm a project manager in construction management, ex-builder by trade, though I did do IT at university back in the day. But only lasted about 3 months in that before I got over sitting in an office. Yeah.
And you did warn me, of course, being a project manager, that there was probably going to be swearing, but we'll get through it, I'm
Uh,
sure.
I work on a commercial construction site and I swear at people all day as a job. So
Fair enough. I mean, professional swearer isn't a bad gig. It sounds like me and my streaming. Now, the first question I've got for you, as you say, there is going to be 16 questions and a little bit of overtime at the end, just like a standard Blood Bowl match, really. 16 turns. So the first question is, how did you get into Blood Bowl? And that's become one of our regular questions.
short answer, 1995 January. My mate's birthday party. He got Blood Bowl for his birthday, and I was the only one who was really keen to play it. So we sat in the corner and played a first game, and then switched teams and played a second game. And I don't think he ever played another game after that. And here I am, 20 something years later.
So can it be inferred from that he didn't win?
Correct.
Fair enough. So what team did you? Obviously, I mean, what was the first team you played on? I'm assuming it's one from the box. But which team also on top of that was your first love?
Hard to say. Obviously, I played those human orcs from the box. The first two teams I owned, so after that, were Skaven and Dwarf. So you could probably go with either one of those. I did have when I was very young, a pretty famous Skaven team amongst the sort of teenage league that we sort of had going, which went on for quite some time. Big nemesis being another dwarf team in the league, sort of thing, back in the day. Yeah, so that's probably what I'd say. My first team would be a Skaven team.
And would you say they were your first love as well, or were they?
Um,
Because obviously everyone knows
love is
you.
a hard word to I can't say I love a team.
I mean, everyone knows you
Honestly, I
obviously as
probably
a dark
I,
elf coach, but you've always told me you're not a
okay.
dark
No,
elf coach.
it will be Orc. Pre-fumble, so about 2001, 2002. I was playing in the pre-fumble online league called OLBBL, Online Blood Bowl League.
Hmm.
And they had a Premier Division, which was like teams over TR 400 that you could be in. And I remember playing for years and finally getting my Orc team up into the big Prems with the big teams. And I remember getting up to about 550 team value, so 5,500 by today's things. And I had all four Black Orcs had Strength 5, and they all had Diving Tackle, which was the old rule where you would interrupt your opponent's turn and throw a block against them when a player moved into your tackle zone.
At strength 5.
At Strength 5, yeah.
Yeah, because you've obviously you've been around for a while. You've seen a lot of variations of the board game Blood Bowl as well. So you can probably tell us some of the crazy stuff that no one else, apart from maybe seems to be me, remembers.
Yeah, certainly. Like I saw in a thread, someone was getting upset about the changes between the current edition of Blood Bowl. That's not even a change. It's like 0.2% of a change. I mean, third edition to fourth edition, Frenzy used to be your full squares of movement. beastman could frenzy a person from the middle of the pitch off. Piling on used to add strength to armor, razor sharp claws on top, and you could re-roll the armor roll. Um, so that change was just incredibly massive. Like, it was a huge, big, reconfigure of the meta and everything like that at the time. So in comparison, the change we've got now with the new edition of Blood Bowl is just so minor. It's not even really a blip in the road.
Fair enough. Now, okay, the next question we've got for you is another one of our regular questions, which is, what is your favourite skill in the game, and what would you say your favourite player was in the game as well? It doesn't have to be in Blood Bowl 2, it can be anywhere within Blood Bowl.
Oh, well, favourite skill is easy. That'd be throw teammate. Easily the most fun and exciting skill out there. Absolutely fantastic. So many variable uses, and who doesn't love to throw stunties around the pitch?
Especially when you throw them at people.
Yep, absolutely. And the other one was his favorite position or favorite player.
Yeah, favorite player.
It's a hard choice between the Chaos Troll and Underworld, Slan Catcher, or maybe Pro Elf Blitzer. They're all pretty fantastic pieces.
Fair enough. Speaking of throw teammate, then, how do you feel about the new kick teammate? Is it as broken as everyone thinks it is?
Yeah, that particular set of star players, how they come out is very underpriced for what's there. I wouldn't say it's broken. You can certainly play around it, but it's just the fact they don't have loner, and they can play for anybody. Isn't that right? I think it's anyone.
It seems to be pretty much anybody at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So for 220k, you've suddenly got a non-loner strength 5 ball carrier for Khemri, for example. Doesn't he? I think he has agility 3 as well. So there's just so many, used normally by everyone. He's not terribly broken, but he's going to, if allowed, he is going to be put in situations where he is really power gained, and people get a massive advantage from him.
And of course, there's the point where why would you ever use Brickfarth again? Because he's just a better version.
Well, there could be that. I haven't looked at him too much.
It upsets me because it just feels like, I don't know. I feel like kind of Games Workshop are a little off base with what they've done with him. I like the idea, but I just don't know if they've added more than they needed to with it. But
I don't think. I mean, I play under the NAF. They put out what they're going to have in all the up-and-coming tournaments. It's what all our local leagues play under in bits and pieces. I mean, most of the new rules out in the new Blood Bowl are optional, and some of the other ones are fantastic changes. I'm certainly really looking forward to my first go at rebuying my team at the end of the season and seeing how that goes.
Fair enough.
Certainly over the years, I've seen, literally, a score or two of leagues run into the ground in various different ways. So it's always exciting to see someone trying something different to give it a bit more longevity.
Okay. Now the next question. This one's actually from me, and you'll know it's from me as soon as you hear the question. But fouling, is it really as bad as you make out?
No, it's not the fouling that I make out. It's the gamemanship, and the way it's sold by senior members of the league. I have killed leagues before. I have sat on the top of a league, with Chaos and won 5 out of 6 seasons. And, I have been at the top of leagues with dwarf teams, 10, 15 years ago, and had a dwarf team with 12 guard and 5 dirty player, and been that guy. And it's all right when you're coming in and it was a real foul-heavy team, and you win some, you lose some. But for example, if you're on top and stay on top, and you're doing that, all the time, then obviously you get a pretty shitty attitude towards you. You get a pretty bad reputation for basically just putting the boot in while you're already on top to begin with, and going on. I think it's a little more grey area than the black and white that it is in Blood Bowl 2. I mean, I've definitely noticed in Blood Bowl 1 and then Blood Bowl 2 that because of the way new players have came to the game and they've only learned to play online and things like that, people can be a lot more, you know, more into fouling and, you know, tilting and swinging as such, as opposed to people who came from tabletop or perhaps fumble.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I mean, the thing I'd follow up with that is, I mean, do you not feel that certain teams are almost kind of built, their linemen are almost built around being these foul threats, like, for example, Bretonians with their peasants, or
Well, I can't
Skaven with their
speak for
rats?
I can't speak for Bretonians, but I mean, I've certainly over the years played every single team with and without fouling, so it's certainly, you know, you can certainly do each. You know, I certainly not of the attitude. I do disagree with the whole, hey, if you don't think you're going to win this game against the opponent you're going up against, fuck it, just get in there and boot the shit out of his players all game long, get as many injuries as you can for his later leagues. You know, that's a load of. I really don't like that. You know, like, what if I've got another mate in the league, and he knows that you know there's I'm after you, and so he just goes and they go, oh, I'm just going to give up my game to put the boot in. You know, there's I've seen all these exploits happen over the years. Like, I've actually had them happen at various points, so I'm a lot more aware of you know, the end result of where these things get to. So, I mean, I'm probably not the best at phrasing it all. I'm certainly not against fouling. I mean, go for fouling, go for broke, foul 16 turns a game if that's what you need. But, you know, if you're on top, you've won the game, you've got the positionals on board. No, don't throw in that turn 16 foul just to injure your opponent's league team for further down the track. You're gaining no SPP. You know, we want to encourage more people to play Blood Bowl and get into the game, and that sort of stuff is the stuff that puts people off playing it. And you know, if you've got someone who's got the Blood Bowl bug, you can foul them all day long on turn 16. They're not going to leave the game. But if you have new people into the game and you know,
No,
other slightly less rookie people have got the attitude from the league that we should foul all day, and then they start fouling the new people, and the new people have 2 or 3 games like that, well, they're not going to come back next season.
no, I see where you're coming from, and certainly, obviously, there's a very good point, well made. I think you're better explaining it than you might think you are.
I don't
Okay.
feel like I'm explaining it well. I've been thinking how to word it to explain it to you after our discussion the other week, but I still don't have the best way to explain how I feel about it.
Well, as I say, I mean, I think I do like to foul. I think it's a valuable tactical choice for certain teams, but I don't, I'm not Gengar. I don't propose, fouling 16 turns in a game for the sake of fouling 16 turns in the game. I'm kind of somewhere in between those two things.
You know, it's just do anything within the game rules that helps you win the game. You know, go for gold with that. But if you're just giving up playing the game and you're going to be a dick and just foul all game long in the hope that you do some permanent injuries to your opponent's team, which they're going to find the next game's less enjoyable, you know, not my sort of thing.
No, I hear it. I hear it. Okay, so moving on. The first of a couple of questions from links from Capital Rats. What is the most feared or least enjoyable team to play against, in your opinion?
The least enjoyable team to play against.
Or who do you hate? If you say you're playing in Call, CCL or something, you're spinning up. What team do you not want to see come up?
No, I guess that's in context depending on what team you are. You know, but no, I don't really have any problems. There's no particular team that I can think of that I'm like I hate playing against you. You know, they're all learning experiences. You know, my rookie Nurgle will get matched up against your dwarves. You know, and I get a thrashing with all the guard and the block anywhere. Well, I've just got to learn to position my players better. You know, think ahead and make sure next time that doesn't happen.
Fair enough. Okay, so which one rule or player would you change if you had the chance?
Well, I could go with the standard Blood Bowl wide thing that we all want, the Chaos Pack Marauders skill access changed or price changed. That's a pretty common one.
Sage himself had a particularly big rant on that one.
yeah. It's just it. Yeah, but I've had a rookie Chaos Pack team go rookie and win a league from day one with 17 straight games. It's perfectly doable with a horrible build. One thing I'd like changed. See, I love Blood Bowl for Blood Bowl, and I love playing Weeping Dagger. There you go, Weeping Dagger. That's low hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's that is one of my biggest beefs with the new tabletop because it just feels like it's designed to make you feel bad.
Mm.
Is my argument, and they said they changed piling on because it made people feel bad, and yet then they gave gutter runners weeping daggers for basically no good reason.
I actually 100% agree with the new piling on ruling. It's not being applied in any tournament, so all tournaments you're going to go to are still going to have the same old piling on rule, and it's just going to be effective, in league play, which is exactly where it needed to be. So yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how the new piling on skill works down the track.
Oh, fair dues. Okay. Where are we? Okay, so given the loss against Hamboy, sorry to bring it up, but you knew it was going to get mentioned at some point, I'm sure. How do you feel about kickoff events? Do you think they are positioned well enough, or do you think maybe they need to be torn back a little bit so they're less game changing?
No, we're not playing chess. That's the whole thing of Blood Bowl. If you can't, I didn't play well against Hamboy. I mean, sorry, that sounds arrogant. Hamboy played extremely well against me, and when that Blizzard first rolled and it stayed in there, I was all for it. Just because I failed 5 out of 5 go for it rolls, and he certainly had snowshoes on. It's just Blood Bowl. That's why we play it. That's why we love it. If you made kickoff results, a lot more tame towards the middle, then it would reduce some of that excitement and fun that I find in Blood Bowl.
Even sweltering heat.
Yeah.
Come on, even
Okay,
sweltering heat.
for example, that one with who was it who got 5 or 6?
Sage and Luminous.
Yeah, dude, you see that once every 10 years. That is not a common event, rolling that many sweltering heats. And sweltering heat affects both opponents. It just comes, like statistically in the long run, you're going to, over 1,000 games with 1,000 sweltering heats rolled, you're going to have the exact same number of players out as your opponents. Statistics are all going to average out.
Fair enough. The one thing I kind of thought that came from as well was that one of my friends, the Richest T, I've seen him play humans, and in 3 times out of 3 sweltering heats, he's actually lost the game based on sweltering heat coming around, even though he'd outbashed the opponent in the first half, simply because he had so many people KO'd, they didn't have to check for sweltering heat. They came back, and then a half his team disappeared for sweltering heat. And it's like, I don't know. I have issues with that one.
Yeah, well, I went to a tournament and I was Wood Elves in this particular matchup against Halflings. And you may think it's funny, but Halflings can do very, very well on the tournament scene with a Dryad, Zara, and a Halfling Chef because they're so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And I got 5 blitzes against Halflings and won 7-0 in a tournament. So it happens, yeah.
Probably didn't feel good for the halfling player, but
Chris took it well. We had plenty of games over the years. So
okay, moving on. And obviously, there was a lot of hype behind the Shadow Hill Cowboys going into their second Super Bowl. You were the defending champion, and obviously there's a lot more hype them actually coming back and moving to the Big O. It's a very popular team. How comfortable are you with being so... I know, obviously, you were talking before we start recording about how Kiwis don't really deal with being, bigged up and stuff, and you kind of just get on with it. But how comfortable are you being this big hype kind of coach within the league?
Because I'm not comfortable, because I'm not. I've come into a new league and had a really, good run of luck and form in games, and and got where I've got to. But I certainly don't, consider myself that way. It's Blood Bowl. Anyone can lose to anyone in any game or day. Next season when there's 29 teams in the playoffs, any one of those 29 teams is potential Super Bowl champion. It doesn't matter if you come from Div 4. It's Blood Bowl. Like you said, the sweltering heat. Like I said, there's 5 blitzes in a game. It happens. So, yeah, no, don't deal with the hype very well.
So stop bigging you up, is what you're saying there. We'll see what we can. We can't make any promises here on the sports reporting team. Okay, so moving to the second set of questions. That was the first 8. We're halfway there, nearly, other than overtime. Squiggy had some very nice things to say about your skill on defense, and I've played you, and I know, I always say that you are one of, if not the best coach I've ever played against within Blood Bowl 2, simply because it kind of feels like you already know what you're going to do 3 or 4 turns in advance. And what would be your one top tip for any rookie looking to improve their defense?
I don't have one top tip because there's no one tip that beats them all. But plan your entire game before you start. Know whether you're going to kick or receive and why. Play turn 0 to 16. Don't give up. Don't tilt. Play your patience. Play your opponent's turn as if you were playing. So when it's your opponent's turn, fully switch over and see where your opponent wants to be in 2 or 3 turns. Never give up. I can't say that too many times. The amount of people who give up. Never give up. And play lots of games. Pay attention and probably rewatch your losses. The ones where you felt you get diced the most. Go rewatch them. Don't look at those stats pages. Go rewatch the game where you feel you got diced the most. Actually, go rewatch it, and I bet you'll look at that and you'll pick up half a dozen places. Be like, damn, I was tilting and I've gone for a too high risk play here. I should have moved back. As I was saying to someone in the Big O the other day, the biggest thing from getting that step to being a rookie at Blood Bowl to an average Joe is getting over the tilting, getting over being down. What was it? My last season, first 2 games of the playoff, very first game, dead butch off, first turn or turn 0. Second game of the playoff, replacement witch off, dead with the pop. You just go, oh well, that's Blood Bowl, and don't give up on your plays. I don't, play the percentages and the stats.
I have to say, I do like calling back to that game. It was actually against Kejerus, the turn 0 dead witch elf, and I always like to bring that game up specifically when I'm talking to rookies about tilting, because I mean, going into a game, the first round of the playoffs with in your first season, and on turn 0 because you got a blitz, you've burned your Apo, you've burnt a reroll, and you've still lost a witch elf dead for good. That right there could have been enough to tilt you off the face of the planet and make you play.
Well, it was even more than that, because she would have been on the ball, possibly catching it, and she had blocked sidestep as well. And I also had a hold. If she hadn't fallen over, I would have, the whole rest of the team would have gone. So, yeah, it wasn't a great start.
No, it wasn't. But the thing is, you kept it together. You kind of nutted up and just kept on pushing through it. And I always will say, the fact that you went on to win that game is a great example to rookies for how you should never give up on the game.
Cheers, dude. And, certainly my, example of my game versus Hamboy, I was out of that game, and I never got back into it. So, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all have bad games. I mean, that was literally the biggest thrashing the Shadow Hell Cowboys have had, full stop, since creation.
Well, there's another season yet. Give the rest of the Ore a chance to take their shot.
Oh yeah, they're definitely coming, I'm sure.
Because they're hungry. I'm not gonna lie, they're hungry. I've heard a lot of positive buzz around you moving down there, but I think you've got a season to look forward to. Now this one's an interesting one from Haringzord of the Bargain Boozers. If you could force one other coach in the Rebel to re-roll with a new team, so you wouldn't have to face them again on their old team, who would it be?
Well, I've see these kind of questions, like picking my favorite or most hated and stuff like that. See, I'm happy to play everyone. I mean, who have I lost to? I would say Handboy. Obviously, he's beaten me twice, but I want to play him again. I want to play his team again. I would say Gengar, since he's the other coach who beat me, but I want to play him again too. Yeah, happy to face anyone,
Hang on.
except for that. Hmm?
Sorry, this is the first person in the world who said, "Yep, I'm happy to face Gengar again."
Well, he beat me last time. He's one up on me, so I got to call that back.
Fair enough. Unfortunately, you are
But
gonna.
but actually, no. I have thought there's one dickhead in the league I don't like playing. What's that guy? Played Skaven last season. Metal. That's the dude.
Gee, thanks, man. I love you too, dude. No, it's fair enough. I mean, unfortunately, you are going to miss Hamboy this season because he's actually taken the season out, so he needs to cool down. And I think he got quite burnt out with Blood Bowl, so he's taken the season off.
Mm.
So we are all hoping we see him again next season. Right, okay, so links from the Capital Rat again. This is another good one that he keeps asking people is, do you watch a lot of the because obviously, you know, the one thing, there's a couple of things about Rebel that make us who we are, which is our time zone play, which, you know, you finally got to play in your own time zone again, which must be nice after a couple of seasons of playing in the G-Man. But the other thing we are is obviously we create a lot of content. For example, you know, foul language, which we're doing now, in the podcast and things like that. Do you manage to keep up with a lot of the content and what's going on in the other divisions?
Well, when I first started, we just sold up in the big city and moved back to regional New Zealand, and so I took like 4 months off work just to be a stay-at-home dad. Um, and I obviously had a lot more free time. So I think right back at the start, I was keeping up with a lot more content. And then this period over Christmas and New Year's, where I had 2 weeks off work, yeah, I totally watched heaps of content and video and listened to heaps of stuff. But, you know, I'm 2 weeks and back at work, and yeah, finding time is hard. You know, for example, I get up in 5.5 hours.
Yeah, Jesus, thank you for taking the time out then to come and join us. We won't be much longer, I promise. We'll get through the rest.
Oh
Of the
no,
episode
it's fine. It's not a problem.
Although, if you do have a commute to work, I can certainly recommend a certain podcast.
Well, therein lies the problem. I've moved to regional small town New Zealand, so my site is like 5 minutes away.
Oh well, that would take a lot of you know, maybe across the entire week.
Sometimes
You'd
I'm
fit it in.
still listening to the same song when I get home.
Sounds fantastic. Right,
Yeah, tell me
another
about
one
it.
of our new coaches, Tomo from Echoes Volthui. He's quite interested to talk about your Dark Elf team, and in specific the runner, and how and why you've skilled him up, because he is, you know, a lot of Dark Elf coaches aren't big fans of the runner at the best of times, and you've certainly developed yours in a very specific fashion. See if I can get him on the screen in the background. You know, he's got accurate, he's got the extra movement, he's got pass. You know, is there any particular thinking behind the kind of quarterback style of runner you've developed there?
Well, I mean, what the styles are there? I mean, it'd be pointless to go, you know, block, dodge, sidestep, fend, because the whole point of them is to take that hit and dump off. Whereas if you've got, you know, all those defensive skills, you're going to sit there and go, should I dump off? Shouldn't I dump off? Uh, Everyone has different skills and different play styles for teams and how things work out for them. I've certainly had plenty of Dark Elf teams that haven't taken runners. I mean, runners used to not exist like they are, and everything. I think Dark Elves are absolutely fantastic because they get 10 positionals. It's just absolutely amazing. No, I think just the only reason I've taken a runner is because it's a whole new positional, a whole new skill group access, and adds a whole new dimension to my team. Which are all three pretty major things. So
No, I think when he says that, I mean the other styles are not having a runner, or occasionally the runner who's essentially there as a leader bot, and sits at the back with leader and shoot hands and does nothing.
yep, exactly. I think the other one is to not have a runner. But is, you know, your Dark Elf team, the powerhouse is having access to so many positionals. They're still a fantastic player. Why not? Look at him go. He's done me well.
Fair enough. Okay, so and one that's become a regular question because it was quite a good one. Obviously, you've been playing the game for a lot of years. How has your playstyle changed as you've got more experience? What kind of things would you say you've picked up and been a more of a tool for your arsenal in more recent years?
Um, don't know. I guess for the first 5 or 7 years I was playing, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just enjoying playing Blood Bowl, and then I got reasonably averagely skilled. So I was a lot more, bash and foul heavy. If I had a good run of fouling games and a good run of bash dice, I could win a title. That sort of thing. But and then of course you have bad games, you get knocked out. You can blame Nuffle on the dice. Sort of thing. I learned a lot playing in an OL BBL against some really big teams and really big coaches about patience and being slow, and also about hubris. I had an ogre team that sort of lost first 15 games in a row, I think. This is in the back in the day when ogre team was 0 to 12 ogres. You started with 1.5 million, and you literally started with 11 ogres on your team. Um,
Which
there was
sounds
also a treatment.
beautiful and terrible at the same
Well, there was
time.
also a Treeman team. You could take 0 to 12 Treeman, like literally a Treeman team. And they usually lost about their first 75 games until they got skilled up enough to actually win one.
And even then, it was a very slow win, I'd assume.
Then I joined Fumble and stumbled into the Southern Waste League, which is an Australian New Zealand league there. I'd probably put out there as the you know, longest running, most dedicated league out. I mean, I was playing it in 2003. It's still going today. Um, still going with 50, 60 plus of the, in terms of high average skill level, it is just right up there. Season 70 or something now.
Jesus.
And so I did very well on that. Back in the day, had a very, very, very promising dwarf team that took a few titles and did well on that. But back then, I was probably playing sort of 10, 15 games a week, which really keeps your skill level up there and keeps you thinking about the game. When I left about 2007, 2008, and then I went back like 3 or 4 years later, having had a period of my life where I was just, going to the pub all the time and, out partying and stuff and not so much Blood Bowl. I came back and just was, absolutely abysmal. It's certainly a league where you come in right at the bottom and you work your way for every step up that skill level to get up there, sort of thing.
Okay, cool. Now, this one was an interesting question from Phineas North of the SI Earthshakers. I believe he's one of our newer Big O coaches. Which player from any race would you say best represents the Kiwi sporting spirit?
Black Hawk.
Would they be the ones doing the full hacker at the start of the?
Oh yeah, man! Have you seen our big boys over here? The guys I yell at on the side all day. I'm just the collared suit to them. Jesus. I've seen two of them, have a real good go at lifting my car off the ground. So yeah, and all these boys play rugby and league and all those sort of things. So.
Okay, great. Now, this one again from the links from the Capital Rats. Knowing what you do now about the match, would you do anything differently in that match against the Reddit Rat Daughter? I know, again, you knew it was going to come back up. It was going to get mentioned a couple of times.
Sorry, so am I able to go back and play it with 100% hindsight, is what he's saying?
Yeah.
Well, then of course I'm going to change what I did, because, I'm going to get a 6 and another 3 dice rolls, But what you're meaning is, like, if I, replay the game, for example. Yeah,
what would
totally
you do differently?
Oh, yeah, no, totally. Look, I went for a wizard draw really early, knowing that he could do really well, but I had my 2 tackles back, and then he'd have to make a heap of go for it to really cover me in. And you know what? He made a heap of go for it. I took a risk on that play, and it didn't work out for me. So in hindsight, I guess what's that taught me? That's taught me probably to be more conservative, I guess. But I still think at the time, seeing the Blizzard, you know, I deliberately moved a player off and kept him a square full to try and get that wizard out early, and hoping I'd be able to recover it, and I wasn't able to. So that's just how it rolled.
Okay, fair enough. Um, Now the last, the standard 16 questions, and this is one of our regular questions, because obviously, you say you work a lot, and you're a dad as well, so it takes a lot of time away from yourself. But other than Blood Bowl, is there any other games you kind of currently play?
Yep. No. I'm a horrible person. My Steam account is well into the 4 digits of games. I'm still playing Civ 5 Giant Multiplayer Robot, which is sort of play by email hot seat sort of thing with a third-party program. Civ 6, XCOM 2, Stellaris, Darkest Dungeon, Prison Architect, Skyrim, Fallout 4 a little bit still. Yeah, quite a bit.
So on the whole, you're enjoying like the strategy style. Is that what?
Yeah,
would you say
very,
that's your
very,
wheelhouse?
very much so. I mean, I certainly love turn-based strategy.
All right, fantastic. Okay, and so you've alluded to it a lot, and we've talked about it quite a bit. But in depth as the overtime question rather than some quick fire question or anything like that, I thought we'd ask, obviously the new tabletop rules have changed, and it isn't as big a change as it has been in the past. What would you say if you could go back and bring any rules? Is there any rules that have changed away that you miss? Or anything about the older, because when
Yep.
me and you both started playing, I think we probably both started about the same time, or not far off, and there was a lot of crazy rules back in the day. It was a lot less balanced. Is there anything you miss from back in those days?
Well, if just for Rebel and all you foul heavy guys, let's bring back I Got My Eye on You.
How about arguing the
Um,
call?
oh, look, he'd sit here all day with skills you want back, like um, being able to give stunty to strength 2 players, uh, all sorts of bits and pieces.
Throw a teammate what elf catches.
Like, I guess I've been through enough iterations of Blood Bowl and still being keen on it that, like I was a serious part of the community for about 10 years before this new release in terms of running leagues and running tournaments and other bits and pieces. So yeah, I've been really involved and behind it for at least the last 5 or 6 years. My role, sort of tabletop and everything, has more been, getting people into the game as it is now and stuff. So no, I'm not pining about old rules that we need to bring back or it's ruined now or everything like that. I'm just like, hey, it's a fun game I enjoy, and I want more and more people to come play this fun game that I enjoy.
Fair enough, and that's a great attitude to take. All right, brilliant. Well, that is everything we've got on the list for you. Thank you so much for joining us, taking the time out your day.
Oh, no worries. If you don't mind, I'll just do one quick shout out before I go. If this is mainly to all the Aussies who may be listening, but if any of you are in Melbourne at the end of March, come on down to the state champs. There is the singles open, so if you're not part of a team, you'll come down and play Blood Bowl. That runs alongside the state champs. And yeah, we'd love to see you. It is literally 72 hours of endless booze, drinking, and Blood Bowl with, somewhere between 60 and 80 guys in a hall. So, yeah.
That sounds pretty fantastic.
Come on down to Melbourne.
Oh, one thing I'm going to ask, because I've just looked back at your team, I'm going to sneak a 17th question in here. We were debating this during the playoffs. Are the names your own, or are they almost stock names?
They're all stock names. Every single one's stock name.
Why?
Okay. How many names have I named over the years? Think about that. How many names have I come up? I listened to your complaints, and if the Shadow Hair Cowboys hadn't transferred to the Big O, I had my Nurgle team, the new Nurgle team that was going to start in Big O. And as I showed you, I named them all, and I said, "Here, I mean, can't complain this time. They're all named." But no, it just purely comes down to when I started, I didn't know, how involved I was going to be in the league, how keen I was, everything like that. And I have just done so many freaking names over the years. You just, yeah.
Well, speaking from the rest of the admin team as well, I am glad you got involved enough to come back for your third season, and I wish you the best of luck for your latest campaign.
Oh, look, it's even more than that. You'll be seeing even more than just the season, because apparently I'm on one of those clan teams as well. So
Yeah, well, we might actually get the chance to go head to head again. That could be interesting. I promise
looking
less
forward
foul
to it.
this time.
Oh no, no, it'll swing the other way, I think.
Brilliant.
As
Well,
I say, there's no one I wish I never play again. I'm always keen to have a go at someone again. Don't worry about that.
all right, great stuff. Well, as I say, I look forward to seeing how you do in the season and obviously in the clan league as well. Thank you very much for taking the time out. Quick announcement for the guys watching: we already know who our next guest is. We're going to have Rodder himself on the show next week. Haringzord is going to be coming along, so we're going to post a question thread up very, very shortly to get that done. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and stay classy.